Hi everybody, my name is Sean Carey. I own Amazing Fantasy Comics. And the reason I'm making this video that is showing what's going on with the diamond shipment lately is that I care about comics so much that I would hate to see them go away, and we are in a one distributor system that is going on 20 years now, 20 plus years, of only one choice for distribution. I really think Diamond does a great job on the most, but there's really not a lot of incentive for them to fix the problems that are occurring year after year. And so this video is going to be part of a series of videos that will hopefully help to fix the problem, show what the problem is, and use some of my packing expertise and knowledge of the industry to improve Diamond services for their profit as well as everybody else's profit in this business. I think it's very important that we begin to start nipping things in the bud before they get worse. Diamond Comics, for the most part, does a great job, and I would hope that they would want to continue to improve. But with a monopoly, you sometimes run into the you don't have to try harder phenomenon, which it sometimes feels like is what's going on because we're seeing the same problems month after month lately. They are a monopoly because Dark Horse, Image, Marvel, and DC got together in the mid-90s during the direct sales crash caused by so many multiple covers and collectibles being sold instead of reading comics. The market was on the verge of collapse because of those factors, and those four publishers got together with Diamond Comics and said, we choose you to be our one distributor, burying all other distributors. If you can't sell Marvel and DC in the comic business as a distributor, then you can't distribute profitable comics. You can do it as a hobby, I suppose, but anyway. I'm into this business as a living, and I have to provide for my employees as well as myself. And so I would like to be able to do that better. The way that I could do that is to have sellable merchandise on the first day, just like my competition does. And I know sometimes I get it and they don't, but a fair, even playing field would be my desire. So let's try and fix the problems. Just walked in for our July 2nd Tuesday delivery of our shipment. Dwayne's already started unpacking. What's going on here, Dwayne?
Well, if you notice, we got this end up. No problem.
Yeah.
But keep an orientation thing. Everything seemed fine. We have the nice packing paper.
Oh, very good. That's how it's
We
supposed
have
to
the
go.
divider on top of
Interesting.
the two hardcovers.
Yeah, not bad. And
No
then
problem.
it's a subdivider. Great.
Subdivider, and then you had completely loose.
What in the... Why the... Okay, so my advice to the packer would be to, next time, start with your hardcovers on the bottom. Could you do the bigger one down first? Yeah, exactly like that. There. And then maybe a subdivider. And then when you have something that's like this, that's too wide for the comic box, then it's okay to do that. Stacking them so that you're orienting the cards correctly. Bummer that they're doing this now. And then you can use the packing paper to go around there. And push that in, pack it. That's what I would do. I don't know. Maybe that's why I'm doing this job instead of theirs. This arrives separately. Today is Tuesday, July the 2nd. These are some of our shortages from the 6/26 shipment last week. And we have to deal with that on top of our other shipment. So one more bit of processing that we go through on a regular basis is handling 2 or 3 shipments. The regular shipment and the replacement shipment, and sometimes even another replacement box like what we had with the previews book, which was next day aired, so we had them last Friday, which was a waste of money. I don't think we needed the previews that quickly, considering most of the good stuff didn't arrive until today. Previews would have been waiting until that and been just fine. But the thing is that's the third time in 18 months where they've had to next day air the whole book of previews, the largest thing in the shipment. Well, here we have a damage replacement. The defective printing, all these blotches, this white stuff, that is apparently undetectable to somebody pulling a single copy replacement. Thing is we're due 4 copies that had this same problem, and they sent us one that's as bad or worse than the other ones. What do you do with that? Well, besides the time I'm spending on this, not a lot you can do, just keep wasting labor. Has been the biggest amount of damage we've had from the printer. This line thing here, is that supposed to just be ignored on a 1/10 copy? I mean, I could see we have been doing that quite a bit. You see the two lines. This is something they've been doing for 9 months or more consistently, where the majority of their print runs are like that. Is there something they can do to fix that or not? It's just annoying. I mean, at a certain point, you do have to end up taking the common covers with that. But when it gets to be the 1/10 collectible variants and it's a flaw that isn't consistent with every copy, that's a problem. About 4 months ago, Zenescope has decided that quality control on printing blemishes is not an issue. So what we're getting all the time now is this printing smudge stuff. See all that? That has just been consistent. This one isn't as bad as the average, but it's still enough. And you know what? Most people that I've ever sold Grim Fairy Tales to haven't ever opened the damn cover. They are collecting it for the cover. And they buy all the covers. These are supposed to go to a guy that is only wanting near mint copies. And this is the third replacement on this book. So is it the entire print run and they've just decided that's good enough? I'm going to let my guy know that I can no longer guarantee him anything better than fine, because we are spending so much labor on it, we're losing money on Zenescope. It's going to be a matter of he has to start accepting fine or less, which means he's going to drop the title, and rightfully so, but I can't keep doing this. Every time Grim Fairy Tales gets called in, there's 4 covers to track. And then those come in, 3 of those will be damaged. And then I report those, 2 come in. And then 2 of those will be damaged. Before you know it, I've sometimes replaced the same Zenescope title 6 times. More than that, actually. That's about a high middle average. They're so obnoxious. Here's the Old Man Quell that was shipped incorrectly last week, and we got some Silver Surfer reprint instead. And this is what we get for our damage replacement, 2 times attempted. Look at that spine. I guess we're supposed to just read these and throw them away because condition doesn't matter. And yet, how is CGC doing? How's the price guides doing? How are the grading guides doing? I think there's actually some merit to trying to have a near mint copy. So it can't be just me. I'm not the one being picky. I'm trying to do this for my customers who definitely let me know they are unhappy with the shoddy distribution and printing that has been going on in 2019 and even before that. So why do the employees have to read the 1/10 copies? Why are there finger digs in a book that you could just go pull the comment on? All I want to know is why we can't have these 1/10 copies treated as if they were something better than a common copy that somebody on the line just flips through and reads at their own convenience. You see this RI? That means I had to buy a whole bunch of common covers to get that. And it's for somebody that's a collector. They're not just going to want to read this one cover. It has the same pages as the commons. Why does he have to accept finger dents? He doesn't. He buys them somewhere else if this continues. Or I buy them somewhere else for him, which is more likely the case. Is this our 4th replacement on Sonic 16 RI cover? Yeah, so of course we're going to want some big spine cracks in the 1/10. There's no reason for us to consider that a collectible comic by any means. Here's our invoice. I'm still checking in that separate shipment that is a replacement from last week. All these represent damages to the damage or shortage replacements. Look at that. That is not me overreacting. Some of these ones where I don't report damage, I'm taking damages. I'm trying to keep it around 9.0 to 9.2 acceptability, although my customers do not appreciate that at all. They want a near mint book on the day of release. I don't think it's too much to ask in the case of a 1/10 especially. And last week our spawn replacements, or our damages from last week, were pretty close to this, but just in different spots. I'm just wondering how somebody thinks that's worth pulling when you've got that much going on with the book. Look at that. How in the hell is that considered acceptable new merchandise when you accept the fact that we are going to call it in and make you repull it anyway. Got it checked in. That's the replacement shipment that we got on Tuesday instead of last Friday. So kind of useless for them to have gotten it to us one day earlier than it would have been if they'd have done it normally. But the point is look at this percentage. Of the 75 books in this shipment, 27 of them are damaged that we are calling in damaged. More than that were damaged. We're accepting the rest. But 27 of them we have to call in damages because they're just unacceptable to customers. Some of which I've had for 30 years, so I should know my customers. Diamond doesn't know their customers because I am not their customer. Their customers are the retail market. They don't care if I buy it or if the store down the street buys it. It's going to get to a customer, so they have to realize that they are shrinking the market by allowing this kind of quality or lack of quality. Finally finished with the one box of replacements of last week's books. Now here's the second batch of replacements. If it's upside down, that means we have now checked it in as damaged. So this is a damage replacement that's damaged, that's part of our normal shipment, which means it's about 3 weeks old now. So try and sell a 3-week-old book in this market where all of our competitors in this area will have already provided nice copies. So yeah, we got that far into it. All damages. Hey, there's a couple not damaged. Oh, look at that. Where's Captain Marvel going? Well, I guess we can just send out any copies we want, whether they have holes in the cover or what. So, yep, we get all the way that far before we see another damage. But then, of course, Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, what do we got here? We've got spine mishandling, damages that go all the way through to the back cover spine, and a big roll on it. The crunches. Pinchy. We call him Pinchy. There's a guy there that squeezes the shipments by hand, like it's orange juice or something. Here's just one that shows you how much IDW, and in this case, just about every James Bond comic we've ever gotten has a combination of finger digs, splotches all over, printing defects. If you go back and look at the history, I think we've called in every issue, maybe one we didn't, but every issue of James Bond 007 in this form, damaged. We can't grow our sales because we're often without the book for sale. I put the damaged ones out on the shelf, but you know, people kind of think that we're carrying damages at a certain point when they see it every month. Anybody looking forward to the new issue of Walking Dead? Do you prefer yours with printer splotches or without? Well, if you want the without printer splotches, then you're going to have to settle for a whole bunch of other evils because there's mispacking and damages too. And here's the other thing we have to take 3 hours or more a week to do, is process the damage returns. All these damages that we call in to get replaced 7, 14, 21, 28 days later, whatever, way too late, whatever it is. They also need us to keep track of all of the defective copies they sent us, so that we can either strip the covers or send them back full copy, because they want to ship these damaged Black Cat 1s with the folded cover from our first video back to somebody, because they obviously need to pay shipping on that, yeah. So, if it was one page, that wouldn't be so bad. Let's take a look. Page 2, huh? Yeah. Page 3, yeah. Page 4, yeah. And we're not even calling in all the damages. We're taking a bite on a lot of these things. But, hey, it's part of the job, right? Everybody wants to own a comic store. Okay, let's see if I can do this one-handed and hold the camera. So, I feel something, yep, there it is. Yeah, you feel something jagged or bumpy. I'm like the princess with the pea in her mattress. So, yeah, here's my extensive archive of books that are so warped and so damaged we can't even put them on the rack because we'll look like idiots trying to sell this shit. Or it's an RI cover and I'm not supposed to sell it as a damage, so they go in here waiting for Diamond to send us that form that says, hey, send us our damages back. Yep, big time. Here's one I love as a comic store. DC puts out these digital comics that are exclusive to the digital format, and then maybe 6 months later sometimes gives us a chance at them. But then what do they ship us? Yeah, so it's like a lesson in keep it digital, kids. You don't have to deal with this kind of crap if you buy digital. Oh, yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but besides the printing, there's also, or besides the handling, there's printing scuffs all over this thing. So, yeah, it's a 3-for-1 whammy. 6 months behind when it first issued, physically damaged from the handlers, and printed defectively. Kind of hard to see from the angle of the camera, but there is a huge finger dent in our 1/10 Sonic. This was almost a good copy too, but somebody had to just grab it and dig their thumb in there. So of the 18 Sonic RIs that we have qualified for every one of them, we buy enough to make sure of that. There's only been 3, maybe 4 that have come in on initial shipment without being replaced once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever it takes. But the thing is it finally does get replaced. So I will be as obstinate as it needs me to be, but it's so wasteful. Just so we're clear, it's not just the finger damage on this book. There are smudges like crazy all over this thing, printing defects. There they are. Yeah, look at that. Comic Sense tingling. That pile doesn't look right. Dwayne, you just pulled that out. Why don't you move those first few books out of the way? What do you got under there? Oh, that explains it. The 3-dimensional copy of the week.
And not 1, but 2.
Yeah, well, you always get 2 for 1 with Diamond, right? Wait a minute, hold on. Okay, I may have made a mistake. I didn't realize that that title was Secret Warps, and that's probably how it was meant to be with the warp and all. And this other one, well, you know, Dragon's Blood, every issue of that has ever been damaged that we've received, so yeah, that makes sense. There are printing lines on the back cover I can accept, but when they're that obnoxious, I think that's a bit much. And whatever the deal is with Marvel and Star Wars, we receive something like 25% damages on average, and it's usually printing defects. So we accept a lot of things, and we do take damages like this one here. You're going to see all the digs. We're going to take that. You know, there's only so much you can do about it, but when they're printed that way, that's a problem. And here's the way we receive a $50 reorder hardcover. Sure, its shrink wrap is busted, and it would be fine to ship it, but when you see that much of the dust jacket has been altered and ripped, torn, shifted, why would you send that out? If I'm just going to call it in, you're going to have to take it back. I guess the employee doesn't care, though. So let's maybe make some incentive for the employees to care. IDW has been the biggest violator of continuously doing the same thing over and over again. The same printing defects for an entire year have gone uncorrected, and they're still doing it. And that same printing flaw that looks like it's just an ink flaw in G.I. Joe's a couple of months ago actually dug into the cover. They went into the first page. So something's dragging on the press on this upper corner, and it's not even consistent, but it's on a lot of the IDW titles. So if you are reordering an IDW, you're really in shit out of luck, because the new orders can't even get here, right? Why would the reorder get here? It occurs to me that it may be the lighting at the Diamond Warehouse, because at first glance that looks like a fine cover, but when you get up on it and you get the light going, you see how much smudge is going on. This has been the trend of the last 2 years. Look at the printing smudges all over this thing. It looks like somebody sneezes on the comics nowadays, and that's coming straight from the manufacturer that way. But DC has been having more of it on these Virgin-like variant covers, and I'm hoping the cardstock cover solves that for the next 2 months. I'm actually disappointed that they're going away from the cardstock cover after 2 months for those variants, because those are the ones that are always the most damaged. I don't know why. Maybe it's the amount of ink? I don't know. Right, here's the problem with all those damages. I love that Diamond does replace them, and I do love that they track and try as hard as they need to get us the copies. But this is 1 month. This is the waste of 1 month, not counting some hard covers which aren't in the picture right now that were mispacked, misshipped. All of these, almost all of these, are going to have their covers stripped off and returned. The biggest problem besides the waste is the labor, how much labor it takes to track all of this and to keep it somewhere on sale, hopefully, if it's not too horrible, to give people at least a chance at it, and then to pull it at the end of the month or be billed again for these copies that were either not sellable in the first place, or we got them too late and that makes them unsellable.